You're listening to the Play It Brave podcast. Join Darcy for a wild rummage around in her wit and wisdom. She's a photographer, an educator, and a marketing ninja. Each week, she's going to be teaching you all about creating a life full of mindset, money, and marketing miracles. Listen to real-world experiences and surefire strategies from expert guests, all to keep you focused on your path to success. Think less hand-holding or fist bumps. So stop playing safe. It's time to start playing it brave. Here's your host, Darcy Benincosa.
On today's episode of the Play It Brave podcast, we have another hot seat coming to you, and we are going to dive into a question that you probably have in your own business. Today, joining me is Emily Ryder, who is the president, founder, CEO, and all-around girl boss of Anna Delores Photography. It's annadelores.com. And with these hot seats, I always send a questionnaire out to people who apply to be on a hot seat to get some coaching. And I ask, what's your biggest frustration? Why haven't you met your big goals? What does your dream business look like? And what specific question do you want me to answer? So Emily said that her biggest frustration right now is being so stressed on the wedding day to get all the must-have shots that she doesn't have any brain space left, creative, and to try new things. I totally relate. Why haven't you met all of your goals? So if you're new to listening to Hot Seats, I ask this question because it's really telling what people put as their answer, because it shows me the direction we need to go to work through this problem. So why hasn't she met her goals? She says, I put a lot of pressure on myself to check off everything needed for a complete gallery, and I am just too crazed with keeping timelines on track, working with videographers, oh, I hear that, finding good light, getting through the family shot list to get into a space where I feel comfortable getting creative with posing and backdrops. And when I ask what her dream business looks like, it's 10 weddings a year at 10K, a team of associates photographing 40 to 50 weddings a year, a thriving educational business that brings in a decent amount of passive income and helps other wedding photographers. The question that you have for me today, Emily, is how do you make space for yourself to create work you are really, really proud of? Okay, that's your question. After all of that, it's just how do we create the work? I feel like it should be, how do I manage all these associates? And how am I going to book five-figure weddings? And how do I make sure that I don't have videographers that work with me who are horrible and get in front of every shot? But if you want to just know how to create work that we're proud of, we can dive into that too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, all of that other information would be great as well, but I don't think we have that much time.
We can get a lot done in 20 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I've been running an associate team for coming up on 6 years, so I actually feel pretty comfortable with that, which is great. Yeah, which I'm really, honestly, really proud of and really excited about. Because I do want to continue to grow that team, and that's sort of the future that I see for my business, because as I'm getting older and getting more picky, frankly, about the weddings that I photograph, I do scale down for myself and really just be able to pick and choose the clients I personally work with, but still do some volume with my other team. So anyway, so I feel comfortable with that. And to be honest, overall, I do feel proud of, I am happy with the work I'm creating.
Totally. It's like up leveling though, is what you're
exactly.
curious about.
And sometimes it feels like I always find myself going back to Pinterest to look at some interesting posing, or like I have my kind of 3 to 5 basic prompts down that I use.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I just feel like I'm doing the same pose over and over with the same couple, or doing the same 3 poses with every couple.
Totally. So do you prep before you shoot the wedding? Do you draft out new poses and new ideas? Do you scout the location of the wedding? What's your pre-process?
Right. So definitely going through timeline and getting, the family and group shot list together and making sure I understand that and know everybody's names and know parents' names and maid of honor and best man and all the things. I also do scout locations, especially if I haven't photographed before. I'm based in Santa Barbara, and most of my weddings are in Santa Barbara. So I'm in some good ways getting to a point where I'm comfortable with a lot of the venues here. So I feel comfortable and I know
nice
where I'm shooting, which is great. But if it's a new space, I do definitely go through and prep.
Okay. Well, this is pretty easy then, because right now you are kicking ass at all the business technical side of shooting a wedding. So when I asked you, like, are you pre-prepping? You're like, yes, I know all the names. I get the shot list. So what this really comes down to, and what I had to do, there's a time in your life with weddings where you're just muscle memory. You're trying to get all the shots. You're trying to make sure you remember everybody's name. You're trying to make sure you don't pose a brother and sister like they were husband and wife, which I did once at a wedding, and it was really awkward. And they did the pose, which was even more awkward. And then they're like, we're related. I'm like, why are you hugging that close? That's wrong.
Tell me that.
I was like, you guys trusted me way too much. So now it comes down to you becoming the artist and not just the wedding photographer. And this will come a lot as you describe yourself in your bio. It comes a lot in the pre-work. So how you have that first initial consultation with the bride, how you have that how you have the talk with the timeline, and you get to demand a little bit more, even if it's just 30 minutes. And the only place you have to get super creative is their portraits, and nobody else can bug you during this time. Now that might sound impossible, and I promise you it's not. And what you get to do is make your bride and groom, or your groom and groom, or your bride and bride, whomever you're shooting the wedding for, become your advocate. You get to help the wedding planner become your advocate, because you get to educate them that when you get to be more creative, the wedding will have a lot higher chance of getting in a bigger publication, because you're able to breathe and capture the artistry. So I have this conversation with my bride and groom from the very beginning. I say, listen, there's a lot of shots. The day can get really hectic. I do require that we need to have, and listen, we don't all get this, right? Everybody's like, but Darcy, it rained on the wedding date. There are some weddings you're just going to have to run around like a person. Right. But there's a lot I've done from that to really allow myself to have the time and space. And one of the things that I do is the week, if I'm shooting on a Saturday, I do not think about future work, past work during that time. Like, yes, I may need to edit, but I make sure I give at least 2 to 3 hours connecting with my couple. I text my bride a lot that day, that week. I'm like, hey, do you like this pose? Hey, what are you being drawn to right now? Hey, send me some of your ideas of what your dream shots look like. And we all have that kind of communication. But more than that, I'm drawing up inspiration. I actually get out a sketch pad and I sketch out some poses that I could try. I think of new things. I don't look at other wedding photographers, but I pull out Vogue and Harper's and look at how they're posing people, look at where, I ask my bride if I can see her dress beforehand, like if I haven't seen it, so then I can see different ways to play with it. I ask for the florist information and say, can you text me a picture of what the bouquet is going to look like? So if we don't know what's happening on the wedding day, we show up, we're not quite sure what the bouquet looks like. We don't know if the dress is big and floofy or it's more fitted. We don't know what the groom is wearing. We don't know, there's a lot of things. One thing a lot of people don't know is the height difference between their bride and groom, especially if they're destination and they haven't shot an engagement session. Right. They'll show up and they don't know that. And that is key to posing. So it's a lot of pre-work, and it's you getting out of business mode and into your creative mode. So how do you get into your creative mode? Do you know when you're
really,
in that?
I'm really bad at it. I'll tell you what. I get into my creative mode. I feel the most inspired. Usually it feels like it's by chance. It'll be something happening on the wedding day. It'll be beautiful light. It'll be a bride and groom who maybe are more comfortable with each other. So then I get to be more creative because I'm not focused on making them comfortable. Mm-hmm. I think I do focus on the client experience in the moment a lot. Uh-huh. Like when you were talking about having a client consultation, it's like my consultation with my clients is all about how I'm going to make them feel and how I want to make sure they enjoy their wedding day. And that's, the experience I want them to have. And they will get beautiful photos from that, but that I want to, be kind of a seamless part of their wedding day experience. And I like the idea of being like, okay, I'm going to streamline and make everything wonderful for you, except for maybe this 30 minutes. Not that they're going to hate that 30 minutes, but that 30 minutes is more for me to be able to get creative and make more creative portraits of them, because I feel like I can make beautiful portraits pretty, again, in a standard way, right? Like I've got the basics down. It's more of,
I'm going to stop you a little bit.
Yes, please do.
Because you're in your head and you're just telling me everything you do on the wedding day. And that's actually not my question.
Absolutely.
At all.
I love it. I love it.
My question is, let's not even pretend it's a wedding.
Sure.
My question is, how do you feel creative? Where do you tap into your art? What time in your week are you allowing yourself to be in your heart and not in your head? Because everything you're approaching your business is in your head, which is great because it's got you so far. And trust me, I used to live there, so I know. I used to be a major head person, checklist, blah, 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 back up to back, managing all the things, weight of the world on my shoulder. I'm sure you do that not just at weddings, but in your whole life. So I get it. But we want to bring you, Emily, the artist, to the table. And she really misses being invited to the table. She's been left out of the discussion a lot because she doesn't feel like she's important or that it will add value. Like even the way you just described how they might think that 30 minutes is selfish or just for you. Mm-hmm. It's your whole relationship to creativity that you're not valuing. So you don't think your clients are going to value it. Where I think their relationship to creativity is one of the most important. Yes, I know they want all the shots.
Right.
But our creativity, our artistry, our magic is what we need to invite to the table. So I'm curious how you do that with no weddings in mind. Are you doing a personal project? Are you allowing yourself time to get to create really creative food and arrange it on a plate really beautifully and buy a mug that inspires great beauty, even though if it's totally unrealistic and you have to hand wash everything, right? My family thinks my dish collection is ridiculous. I'm like, you have to hand wash that. That's handmade pottery. You have to hand wash that. They're like, well, this is not easy. And I'm like, I don't want easy. I want beauty. That's what I want. And that's what inspires me. Mm-hmm. So how do you get in touch with that creativity?
I mean, I don't really in terms of making creative space for myself and doing personal projects. I'm not good at that right now. I'm not strong with that. And to be honest, I feel like I should be a little bit better at it during a pandemic because of extra time, but
we don't need to judge it.
No, I know.
The pandemic, I just watched so much Netflix. I could have written 3 novels and I just watched Netflix. So we don't need to judge that.
Absolutely. You're right. Yeah.
But I think all this is just an introduction to you figuring out how you get creative. There's a great talk by John Cleese that's talking about creativity, and he talks how you tap into it. And and he talks about being open versus closed. So he says you have to allow yourself 1 or 2 hours a day where you don't check the phone, you don't check the checklist, you're not taking action. That's what I like to call and what is known as like our masculine mode, and our creativity, birthing energy is our feminine mode. So even when men are being creative, they're being in their feminine flow. Every person has masculine energy, feminine energy. Masculine energy is do, produce, checklist, email. And the masculine energy can bring in the money per se, but the feminine energy is the root of the money. It's the root of the wealth. It's your genius. It's your openness. So we have to produce, but we have to allow the time for our feminine energy. My guess is if you're not in a feminine energy space, you might not have great, this might be too much. This is probably for me. I wasn't having great sex. I wasn't in touch with my sensuality. I wasn't attractive to men as much. I wasn't glowing in my radiance. I was hurried. I was wrinkling fast. I was tired. I was exhausted. My adrenals were overworked. I was bringing in a fuck ton of money, excuse my language, but I was not living the beautiful, artistic Darcy life. So this
I
is
relate to all of that. All of that.
I know. I see me in you so much. You're like me 4 years ago. And
Amazing.
I see it.
I mean,
so
that
much.
makes me happy. That's great.
Yeah. Oh, girl, you're going to be a millionaire. You're going to have all the things.
Yeah.
You are way too brilliant. You are so talented. What you're juggling now is amazing for for how young you are. Like you're doing all the things. You do not need to doubt your ability to take care of yourself, to make money, and to be okay in this world. Your mind is going to trip you up sometimes that you're going to fail at that. You're not. I just already know.
Yeah.
But what you get to bring in your life now, you're welcome. What you get to bring in your life now is Emily, the creative, Emily, the artist, Emily, the badass bitch that's like, yes, I get 30 minutes during the wedding day to do my magic, to do my thing. That's why you're paying me this money, not just because I can checklist all this other crap off for you. And once you own that and step into that and give time in your day to be creative, to understand how creativity feels in your body, it can feel like an amazing dance party in the kitchen. Like I said, creating a beautiful meal, taking a bubble bath, doing a personal project. My first personal project, it was in my house. People would come to my house. I would take 2 rolls of film. That's 32 shots because I knew that would not stress me out. And it was portraits. It was black and white portraits. And that's it. And I got people coming over every week, and it was like, it was a stretch for me because 32 pictures, in a world of digital where people want to take 200 at just like a 30-minute session or whatever, I had to get the shot in 32 shots, and I was deliberate and I was slow, and I looked at, we worked together, and they were my muse and I was their muse. And it was a beautiful project to get me into my creativity. So you get to start inviting some things like that into your life. It's going to be hard if you're in your masculine mode because your brain is going to talk you out of it, and it's going to tell you don't have enough time for it.
Yep.
You need to recognize the lies right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I can feel it. I can feel it in my head. I can feel.
Oh yeah, your head's going to freak out.
2 things. So first is I'm thinking to myself, and this is why I've struggled with personal projects before, is it's like if I'm spending time on anything, I do want it to be somehow productive. I want it to be something I can post on Instagram. I want it to be something I can share with a vendor. Like I would say the closest thing to a personal project I do is practicing stationery flat lays, because I love stationery, love styling stationery. It's one of my favorite things. But I'm always making sure I get images for the stationer, or making sure it's something I'm proud of to post on Instagram. It always has to feed back into the business. So really focusing on something that's legitimately just for me is a huge challenge that I need to address.
Well,
and
it's
face.
it's gonna serve Instagram too, and it's okay if it does serve Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to create something and you'll put it on Instagram, and then you have to let it be where it is. People might like it or not like it. That might be your wake-up call to how much do I care what other people think about something that made me feel really, really alive and enlightened.
Right.
So yeah, you will have the productivity thing. The best thing to do is just be aware that it's going to be there and just say hello to it when it comes up. Oh, hello. Yep, it's wanting to be super productive. I'm going to put my phone down and go take a long walk, or just go do some deep breathing, or, you just have to find your ways to ground yourself back to your own body when you get in that productive mode. So, this is the tip of a big iceberg that you get to start diving into about creativity. Start slow. Don't judge yourself for it, but do call yourself on it.
Okay.
And having friends who will call you on it too, or coaches or mentors who can see your potential but will hold you to a higher standard is really key as well.
Perfect.
Are you investing in that kind of thing, like help and accountability?
Yes. Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Okay.
So.
You didn't just hire somebody who is in their head all the time and is just going to teach you to be in your head more?
No. I mean,
because that's a trap.
Right. No, the coach I'm working with right now is my focus with that. And I'm kind of coming to the end of my time with her. It was a 3-month, kind of a package. And we're focusing on the education part of growing my business. So it's a totally separate kind of a a thing. But I do feel like I have good accountability partners that I can go to, who I trust, who I do also get creative with, which is awesome, that I can kind of say like, this is where I'm at. I can tell my partner, my fiance, that this is where I'm at, and and have those people share that with me. So,
well, if you need any resources about like getting into your feminine, because I promise you, it will bring you in more money. It will bring you in more joy. It will bring you in more time. You'll
of that.
You'll have free time, and the old you will be like, I have to fill this free time. And the new you will be like, no, I don't. I can actually just sit in the backyard for an hour and watch the sunset.
Yeah.
Oh, there's my Pomeranian.
I hear.
He's having a meltdown. Everybody, Alfie is not in his feminine. I keep trying to bring it in, but he is in his anxious, hyper, overproductive, must protect the house, cannot chill mode, which I've learned has been bred into Pomeranians, which actually has been bred into women, and we have to breed it out because we have the ability to do it. Because the world is based on a patriarchal structure. I'm going to be really feminist here, and you'll all love it.
I love it.
Where it's overproduction, where especially in the Western world, Americans, we overwork, we overeat, we undersleep, we underplay, we under orgasm, all these things. And we actually do not have to buy into that. And we're going to be the ones to make the world a better place and a healthier place and a more loving place and a more heart-centered place, which, trust me, we do not need any more people strategizing how to make $1 million from their head. We need people realizing how they can bring in wild abundance from their heart. So, yeah.
I love that.
All right. I like that too. I'm coining that phrase. That phrase is going in my new marketing.
I mean, it's recorded.
Wild abundance hearts. All right, Cassie, you're editing this podcast. Write that down. It's going on our marketing.
Perfect.
Well, thank you. Good luck with everything. You're brilliant. I see a wildly beautiful future ahead of you, and it's just going to get more rich as you get more in touch with Emily, the artist.
Thank you so much, Darcy. I really appreciate it.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Play It Brave podcast. Love what you heard? Wonderful. You can shout about it in the reviews. I bet you know someone who needs a shot of self-belief. Then don't keep us a secret. If you've missed something crucial, we've got show notes for this and all past episodes over at darcybenincosa.com/Play It Brave. Thanks for tuning in, but don't forget, the world teaches you to play it safe. Stand up, stand out, and start playing it brave.